petition calling on the Scottish Government to ban creationism from Scottish public schools is to receive a hearing in the Parliament later this morning. The Scottish Secular Society is calling for official guidance to be issued in schools, barring the presentation of creationist doctrine as a viable alternative to the science of evolution. Well, let's speak to Spencer Fildes, who's chairperson of the Scottish Secular Society. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Why do you feel it necessary to petition the Parliament in this way?
The Scottish Secular Society, ever since last year, since we had the controversy at Kirkton Home Primary School, we've had a constant steady stream of parents and teachers feeding back to the Secular Society regarding a slow creeping in of creationist teachings across Scotland. So we felt it was time that we actually went back to our government and petitioned them to take affirmative action on it.
Well, the government in the past has felt that it's not necessary to issue guidance.
They have, because they've always relied on the faith of the teachers to do so, which respect and certainly admire. But what we find at the moment is teachers are actually finding themselves put in an impossible position when creationism actually raises in the school, in the classroom, or within religious observance, or any other aspect, particularly within the science realm. They're not quite sure how to tackle it.
Michael Russell said recently, we don't want to go too far to deny people a right to their beliefs. Would you deny them a right to their beliefs?
No, this is nothing to do with the right to their belief. This is all about making sure that there's a fine line between science and between religious and moral philosophical teaching. If they want to manifest that within the confines of the RME classroom, then by all means go ahead and do that. You can do that in your church, you can do that at home, and you can do that within RME at school. But we don't want this happening in chemistry, physics, or biology.
Those who support intelligent design, which is another way of defining creationism, say that your organisation, this petition is based on imposing a particular worldview and would ultimately inhibit legitimate discussion in science lessons. Shouldn't we trust science teachers and other teachers to be able to put both sides of this?
We shouldn't. There shouldn't.
So you
be
don't
both
trust
sides.
teachers?
We do trust teachers to teach science, and we trust those who are religious to teach religious philosophy. But listen, the two cannot be combined, and that's what we're saying to the government. You know, it's not the place of the science teacher to bring in religious philosophies into the science realm. It doesn't make sense. The two are not compatible.
So when you say you want the Scottish Government to issue guidance, what you want them to do ultimately is issue a ban?
We want clear and explicit guidelines, because at the moment there are none. It's fairly ambiguous. It is left to the discretion of the teacher, is what is always emphasised. And Alistair Allen wrote to me recently sort of re-emphasising that. However, what we intend to do today is to illustrate that this is a problem that's not going to go away, and we're going to present evidence to the Petitions Committee to illustrate that fact, in the hope that they now realise they can no longer sit on this and that they have to take affirmative action.
And this follows this controversial situation in East Kilbride at a primary school there. Just remind our listeners what happened there.
Yeah, there was an influx of US-based fundamentalist churches were affiliated to Westmains Church in East Kilbride. It resulted in them distributing creationist text to the children in Cookstown Home Primary. And now this went on for 8 years, right under the government's nose.
Well, I presume under parents' noses as well. Did parents not object?
They certainly did object. I mean, you know yourself that this made national news. This was only one. This was only one that came forward, and one that managed to come out because a parent complained. And since then, we've had other parents coming forward that creationists have been entering and infiltrating schools through other means and through other organisations. My child was taught creationism at his primary school last year, and it's something that it's become unacceptable. And
when you say taught it, what do you mean by that? Is it a case of
presented as an alternative and viable explanation where a scientific explanation can be told?
Is it not presented in a way as to inform the pupils that actually here's the science, but there are people who believe something different?
No, the two, as I said before, they're not compatible. You can have science and you can have religious philosophizing over where the origins of evolution, not evolution itself. But this is where we run into a problem. I mean, the example of my son, he asked a question about a flower and was told that we all come from Adam and Eve and that God creates everything. rather than actually go down the line of flora and fauna and photosynthesis, and there could be some, and talk about the scientific explanation as to why there's so much diversity in natural life.
Spencer Fildes, we must leave things there. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Chairperson of the Scottish Secular Society. It is 4 minutes